It has been another full year of competition in Trackmania. 2025 has now come to an end, and we stand with 30 new world records to take a look at in Trackmania Nations Forever. And that is quite a big number. I have this graph for you guys that I pulled up, which shows the number of unique maps a world record will set on each year. There's 65 maps in total, and you can see that in 2008, when the game came out, obviously all the records got beaten. The next year it was a little bit fewer, and you can see this trend sort of falling downwards until the big year 2019, where the community had a project called Nadeo is Nadeo. They wanted to beat every map that year. We came a bit short of the goal, but it has been the best year of hunting in the recent ones. But 2025 with 30 plus records is a massive jump, and each year the records have gotten so much stronger that to have a year like this with plenty of new shortcuts, insane discovery strategies, it is a blessing. So behind each one of these there is a record and a comparison to take a look at, and I'll tell you some stories along the way. The first one, as has happened years previously, is a record that I lost on the 1st of January. Jan beat my world record on D13 race. This is a map I have hunted for 7 years, give or take. I am right now second. I beat this world record in 2024, and now Jan took it back with a really great run. 102.5 here is a strong mark on the track, so very impressive from Jan. The run is still improvable by maybe a little bit, but it requires getting everything so perfectly that it's unlikely anyone ever will. You have to drive for about 20 seconds in the start and then get a great bug slide around this turn with the checkpoint. You can see I'm actually a little bit ahead here of Jan, but then he reduces airtime to the booster, gets a much better middle cut where he carries more speed, and so now the gap shifts actually about 0.3 in Jan's favor. He has a massive lead, and the ending in my personal best is the best segment that it had, so it's still not that easy to remain ahead through the double wallbang and the jump to the outside here. But Jan gets the job done and claims another record. So this was the first one to start the year, happened just after New Year. Jan was hunting it like on the very last days, and I could tell this was gonna fall. Like if we look at the leaderboard on the map, the record was not set to last. He got a PB on the 26th, then he got a PB on the 28th, and now this has stood ever since. Now, bears mentioning that just 2 days ago, Victory First also improved here, so we might see more records here in 2026, but this is for now where the top mark is at. Map 2, everybody, is A11. This record is completely mental. Unstable beat this in the 12th of January, and all the white maps, the first 15, are, you know, treated of somewhat higher regard because it's just so hard to improve them. And so here comes Unstable, who mostly plays Trackmania 2 and Trackmania 2020, and just beats the record by 400ths. 400ths on a short dirt map that's been hunted for 17 years. I mean, this run is incredible, so let's take a look. He goes a little bit wider than Link in the start, and, you know, for the first jump, they're rather equal, but here gets the gear up to 4th and just has more space to steer less there, so yeah, he keeps more speed. Tighter last corner, and then no landing bug before the finish. It looks simple, it looks effortless, but it's really not, and this last uphill, he has exactly the speed to keep full grip and not 1 kilometer an hour more, and not 1 less either, or he would be slow. If you look at the leaderboard on A11, it looks completely ridiculous. Because still in the time since, nobody has gotten really that close to his time. I mean, Hefes has a 0.40, Link improved by 100th after Unstable, but yeah, that one might stand for a long time. Anytime that's 0.4 is already considered very strong. 0.35 is crazy. Crazy from Unstable. Map number 3, everybody, is D15 Endurance. Now this is a 7-minute long track, and though the world record improvement here is massive from Reiso, we're not gonna watch all 10 laps, I'm sorry to say. It's a very long track, and it's of course about endurance and the shortcuts. But what Reiso did is also find a brand new strategy on this track that nobody else had noticed before him. So I do want to show you that. Styles 24 here is Reiso. Flix is the old record, actually set in 2020, I believe. So a very old record that got beaten here. I'm gonna give the car skins colors because I just realized they're very hard to tell apart. So here you have Reiso, and maybe we also give Flix the Poland skin. Now we have the nationalities in order. So this map has 10 laps, and it used to have only one big strategy you had to do, which is the shortcut coming up. So at the very end of the lap, you have a checkpoint out to the left here. You can maybe see it in the distance. You're supposed to drive up that dirt road, but instead, if you aim precisely towards the dirt mountain, you can jump, land in a bug slide, and then carry more speed afterwards as well. So you gain about 1 second per lap. Reiso already had a great first lap, but what he discovered is that in this next turn, in the first turn of every flying lap, it's possible to crash the inside wall on purpose and get another small bug slide. Now with how buggy Trackmania Nations Forever dirt is, that is not at all easy to do. But this one crash gains a whopping 0.2 of a second. And if you then multiply that by 10 laps over the course of the run, you can actually gain around 2 seconds doing that if you do it perfectly every time. So Reiso here beat the world record by 1.5 seconds. It was a very strong record from Flix because they do all 10 shortcuts. But then additionally, he managed to get his new crash strategy 10 times as well, which is mental. Now he did have one slow one here, but you can maybe see the comparison. They're about equal. He slams the wall, bug slides, carries the speed, and this is the gap he gains in this segment every time. So we can maybe take a look at Reiso's last lap. Skipping through the run, we're now entering the last lap here, and he has about a 2 second lead, I would say. I've had runs that get 9 out of 10 shortcuts in the past, and then, you know, you're just feeling the nerves coming up to the last jump. You really don't want to mess it up, and then things just go wrong. So here, slow wall bang, I mean, the nerves are high. 7 minutes of non-stop Trackmania is a lot. But here, Reiso lines up the dirt jump, gets it correctly, bug slides, carries a bit of speed, and at this point knows he's beaten the world record that stood for about 5 years. So insane stuff from Reiso. It really doesn't do it justice how difficult this is. And in the interest of time, 7-minute run is a lot to watch, but check it out on your own if you're interested. It's really, really good. The fourth track that got beaten in 2025 is D10 Race. Now, I gotta show you, before I show you the new record, what the old record looked like, okay? Because this map has undergone a revolution over the past 2 years. But the old shortcut route used to look like this from Demon. This is a very good run, a 44-17. So you steer at an exact 100th in the start to climb over the wall and take this checkpoint. This is the second checkpoint on the map. You're leaving the first one for later. And from then you just gotta drive very clean tech lines, carry a lot of speed onto this block, and now you're coming up to a jump where you pick up the first checkpoint the wrong way, and then jump to rejoin the track. Doing this checkpoint order, you've gained a couple of seconds, but everybody knows the shortcut. It's just about execution after all these years. And Demon's run is pretty much perfect. It's very solid. 44.1, no mistakes. Dennis noticed one of the first tool-assisted runs on this map does a crazy strat in the start, where instead of climbing over the wall as normal, it drifts. And with a drift, you can do a different setup. So take a look at this. This is what Dennis found and did last year to get a 44.02. Drift into a nose bug in the start. How much difference does this make, you might ask? Well, he has about a 0.8 gap, right? But this is a nose bug you might get only once in 30 hours of playing. Like, it is a really, really difficult setup to first find and then try to do. It's not as simple as just drift over the wall and, oh, the car lands on the nose, and oh, I pressed drift buttons. So over the course of the run, Dennis gets reeled back in by Demon, by quite a lot. But he keeps his composure and beats the world record, and although it's close, this record is basically out of reach for normal way. And so with that context, this year, Raiso comes along and tries to replicate Dennis's strategy. And he drives a 4330, which in his own words, he described as Jesus Lord Christ after completing this run. So he basically did a run that has Dennis's start and an end that is much closer to Demon's. And this, guys, is, in my opinion, one of the most beautiful records this year and in this game's history. So I'm gonna give the proper car skins. Of course, credit goes to Dennis for finding this line. Raiso copied it to perfection. You'll see the cars exactly doing the same inputs in the start, but from there, it's game on. So here's Raiso. So drift in the start, get the nose bug. Raiso's one is a little bit better than Dennis, 0.1 faster, but from here, he too is gonna give it a shot to keep the gap towards Demon, and he gets basically a really strong drift there. And then on this jump here, Dennis released a bit, but Raiso just dares to full risk. Look at Raiso's jump now. Jumps close to the block, avoids landing bugs by landing in between all the lines, and at this point, it's the red carpet's rolled out in front of him, and he can just cruise towards the finish. Really gotta not mess up going under here, because while you can't see it, there's a pillar there that you could unfortunately hit. But I think it will be a long time until we see this record beaten. Not unbeatable, but my god, is it a strong mark on the track. To date, only Dennis and Raiso have done this strategy, and yeah, 0.87 ahead of Demon with a new strat that gains about a second is incredibly strong. Map number 5, C13. This is a map that Demon has been battling for the world record on for many years. He was hunting this early on into the year. The record belonged to Hugo. And Hugo's story here is also interesting because Hugo once, like, he came from Trackmania 2, that's the Trackmania game he played the most, and then installed the older Nations Forever and wanted to challenge world records. He didn't know that he needed to install the competitive patch, so when the world record was a 40.2, you can see top left here, when the world record was 40.2, he drove an insane 4016, but couldn't upload it because it wasn't on the competitive patch. Last year, he did a 40.15, and now Demon this year beat it with a 4013. So this map is very close to its human limit. Take a look. Netherlands car is Demon, and this really strong run on C13. So first wall ride in favor of Hugo. They both do a left-right for a bit of reduced airtime. Precise turn. Camera froze. Oh lord, alright. I'm gonna be the ventriloquist. Ring hit to get a flip that reduces airtime and sets you up early for the drift. And then another left-right for reducing airtime. And in the end here, Demon is a little behind, but he pulls off a gorgeous last set of drifts. You gotta see a slow motion replay of this after because it is crazy, the ending that Demon got. This is Demon's ending now on C13. Perfectly close to this wall, straightens out right next to that one, close to the pillar. 1 pixel away from that wall, gets the widest setup possible, and keeps all the speed close to this one, and lands at the very top of the block. That last segment is completely cooked. So the only time save left is perhaps in the beginning, but you can see, like, he's keeping up very close with Hugo. Next map, B12. On this map, I'll be saying a sentence I thought I would never say, because players battled back and forth on this map after around December 2024 until March 9th, when the player Joe Mama, that's his actual gamer tag, Joe Mama, when the player Joe Mama finally got this run. That's the grey car. The old world record was from Sigurd. So on this map, you gotta get a nosedive over this hill, land on the nose as well. It looks a bit strange, but that carries the most speed. Had a fantastic start here. Joe Mama is far into the lead. And it's a long full speed part, so from this point on, just needs to get a good ending bug slide. And Sigurd's one is very strong. You nosedive to the left, clip the pool border, bug slide through, Joe Mama remains ahead, and in the ending almost goes too wide. But it is enough. He was so close to hitting the pillar here, but he managed to keep it clean. Ugh. That is a scary sight. Joe Mama close to the pillar. But he survived. New world record on B12, and a small improvement here over the last year. The 7th map, guys, is a really surprising world record. It's B13 obstacle, where Estas beat Race Hans by 100th. There are maps in Trackmania where, you know, there will always be room for improvement because the maps are so complex. And then you have these maps that are sort of basic, where, you know, players knew how to drive them well 15 years ago, and the strategies haven't changed. So these ones are optimized so much that you'd think they can't improve anymore. And we thought after Raysons did this 2492 that, yeah, the map is basically over. But Estas hunted this map a ton over the last years, and this year he finally broke through. So here is Estas, the Austrian car, with a new world record. Now this map, there's a lot of hidden precision, like in this first loop, doing certain angles and lines can get you a better loop basically, and then you release once in this long turn, survive on through, and then driving the same angle as the loop will keep the most speed. This looks very simple, right? This looks very simple. Okay, so he just did one good turn. But it is so hard. It is so hard to do this right and to carry all the speed and everything. And Estas's own video, I think, is the best demonstration. So here's a compilation, guys, of Estas's top 100 runs. He's finished the map thousands of times, but these are his top 100 fastest ghosts. You can see there's 191, that's his record, 294s, 395s in 25 93s in yellow, and 73 94s in black. So just to this point, there's a lot of variance, but his car, the Austrian one, is one of the fastest ones. And then there's different lines. The cars that go inside early have less speed. And after this loop, you can see that in all these attempts, this one just starts to pull away and is so much faster than the entire cloud of replays. Their last record here was from 2019. They had 94 in 2014, so this map really, it's like pretty close to the limit. I don't know if we'll see more hundredths, time will tell. Map number 8, B07. This map has had a fierce battle over the last 2 years, where neither player has really wanted to give up their claim to the record. Our two characters here are Simi and Jan. They've been going back and forth on this map for a long time. Simi here, in order to get this 100th of a second improvement, he had to put in a total effort across the years of 250 hours. So the run we're showing now, this 27-second run, is 250 hours of effort. These records, and maybe, you know, speedrunning as a whole is getting so absurd now with how long players have been doing it, that the commitment you need at this point is getting crazier. And that's why it's so surprising we have this many world records this year. But yeah, Jan's start here was stronger, but Simi is trying to get as many runs as he can to the bug slide, sets up a bit wider, bump, you need a nosedive landing, gets that, now you land a bit sideways, he gets another bump so he can bug slide earlier. And it's 100th of a second. I'm gonna show that again because it's all happening so fast. This bug slide to skip the last turn was found around 2012. So players have been trying to optimize this for 13 years, but then recently it was found you can land backwards essentially, and then start another bug slide and it looks like Jan is ahead all the way to the finish, but Simi overtakes just in time. And that's where the records stand. An interesting fact here is there was a tool-assisted run that was created just after players got the tools. And those runs were a lot more human, a lot more, you know, what's the human max it's easier to compare to. And that the time that Dwarker did then was a 27:28. You know, perfect with save states, everything like that. 27:28. And the real-time record is now at a 27:34. So unless we see any new strategies that are humanly viable, they are pretty damn close to the limit. The 9th map is fittingly A09 Race. The first player to ever do the strategy here, the modern strategy of rambugging, was Trinity. And I hope he's here in the stream today. He did such a crazy run. I still remember being on the server. Iconic moment. But this year, Link took the record away from him. Or maybe it was last year, actually. I think it was last year that Link took the record away from him, beating the record by about a 10th. Trinity had 24:38, and then Link did this 24:27, where they rambug here on purpose, lifting the car so that it dives over the edge, taking advantage of pretty poor coding back in the day. And then they do another bug slide to the finish here. And in this comparison, it's actually Trinity that wins because he first beat the record with a 24:26. But Trinity's been sending me so many promising attempts on Discord. Even after setting this record, he wanted to keep going. Because it's just like this map where that feeling of rambugging and getting a great landing to the downhill is pure euphoria. It's such a lottery map, honestly, because you drive, I can't even show it now with the camera, you cross the border here, and you just hope to hit the exact connection point where it lifts. But when it happens, it's a great feeling, and then you gotta make use of the moment. And so Trinity, later on into the year, also improved his world record. And I'm gonna give this one the Netherlands car skin. This is the new record on A09 Race by Trinity, beating his old record by 200ths. So wiggle on the grass in the start, small release before the uphill, carry as much speed as you can. He's going wider, but he's still faster. Nosedive is better. And then into the ending, he needs to make up time loss with a better bug slide, and he gets it. He gets there. Yeah, don't let Trinity into a casino. I think that's something to stay away from. Like, just gambling with your time in-game is better than with other valuable resources. But that is A09. It's one of my favorite maps in the campaign. How smoothly that Ramstein bug trick works is really fun. So D11 acrobatic. Another story. There's always stories on these maps. This world record used to belong to Dennis with a really crazy run at the time he set it of 9:22. This is one of the shortest maps in the entire game. But in April of 2024, I believe it was, Postagro started becoming a renowned community member, because what he was doing was something called low input strategy, where you look at a map with the tool assisted tools and you try to find a short input sequence that can beat the world record. On maps that are not so complicated, where you do, you know, maybe one left press in the start and then one right press and stuff like that, it's actually quite possible. And this map consists of just one precise jump. So at first, Postagro showed it was possible to beat this record with low input strat, and he did that. But we consider them different types of competition. So low input strategies don't go on the same leaderboard as normal ones. But Postagros then decided to do a run without low input strats and beat the world record anyways. So this is Postagros' redemption arc. After a lot of effort, he managed to beat Dennis and get his first world record without low input strat. This is run. So he goes without the boost trick in the start, releases, jumps with more speed, lands backwards on the ring, and bumps well into the finish. It's a really satisfying shortcut, the D11 ring bounce, but he found a way to just, like most people used to cancel their rotation early, but landing backwards is cooler. And I think Postigross's playstyle is very interesting because here's some more of his PBs. He later improved the record to a 917. And if you just look at these, like, though this record is not done with low input strat, he is very good at replicating his own ideal line from, you know, grinding so many other low input strats. So you can get the same type of jump reliably. You can really see it here if you compare these ghosts. Like, at the time they go for the jump, they're about 1 cloud. And if you know that that's the ideal line and you just send enough attempts at it, something's gotta give eventually, right? So he found a way for himself to make this rather consistent, and the ghost that we see here jumps slightly better into the finish with 970. That was the 10th map. Map 11 is DO3 acrobatic. And here is Kimura, who is traditionally a Trackmania United player. He really wanted to get his first world record in Stadium, and so he put in the effort to do that, and he beat a really iconic record from Half-Fest. Kimura, from France, this is his record of 1455. So they go down the hill here, they try to speed slide off of the ram to get enough speed to jump out of the loop, or out of the wall ride, and then bounce into the finish. And this all happens very quickly. It's in forced camera 3, but Kimura here had it better than Half-Fest and beat him by 0.04 of a second. He put in a lot of effort to do this and was really proud of this record. But this is not the record that was set this year. This is not the date, the 22nd of May. Kimura's record is from last year. No, on the 22nd of May, Half-Fest was warming up because Kaki was soon starting in Trackmania Nations Forever, and he wanted to get his DO3 record back. And so in the span of the next 2 days, Half-Fest improved the world record on this map 4 times. Just 22nd of May and 23rd of May, after Kimura's put in a lot of effort, Half-Fest come back to Nations Forever and just beats the world record 4 times. Half-Fest moment, I swear. Everyone that's ever competed against him has to go through this. It's just a Half-Fest moment where it's just like, oh, yeah, I wanted my record back. Sorry, bro. Sorry. Nothing personal, kid. Just one of my what's mine by right. So, Camera's on board with his fastest ghost. Insane improvement. He put the record from 1455 down to a 1424. And this is the run, the Croatian car skin that we're on board with. So, again in the start, it's not so important where you are exactly, just gotta get the speed. Aim the jump properly to the left as much as you can, and he just got a very quick bounce. A very quick bounce on the road border. Gonna put it in slow-mo so you guys can see it. Way more to the left than Kimura while still having the speed and just flying directly in. Next map is BO3 race beaten in on the 29th of May. And I just love these replay names. I can tell you guys, they're all from the same player. So, when the 2450 here is when Maniac got his first Nations Forever record. He was very happy. And then last year he beat it and he typed LOL. And then this year he beat it again and he typed Lamau. So yeah. You know, maybe this is just, you get like jaded over time. Maybe the enjoyment fades a bit, or the surprise, the excitement of just beating records, because Maniac has been setting a ton of world records in Trackmania 2020. But he is very, very good on this map. This map had a shortcut discovered in 2021, and it goes as follows. You build up speed in the start, and then in this turn you can jump out to the left, bug slide on the checkpoint, skip the turn, and rejoin the track where the booster's at, so you're not slower in speed for the ending. Slightly different lines here, but his last and best time did have a better downhill. It's a little confusing with 3. We can maybe show just the ending here with 2 car skins. So this is now on board with his new record versus his old. Still probably a little bit left to gain. This uphill could be less airtime as well, but it's notoriously buggy. Great drift through there, a little bit of hesitancy, and then the downhill. The next map was a really tiny improvement from Raso, 1/100th of a second on DO2 race. A map where the strategy has been the same for many years, and nothing really eventful has been going on, but truly nothing could prepare us for what Raso's about to do here, guys. This run is insane, and keep in mind Raso's year so far. He's done that new strategy on D15, and he's also done that no spug on D10, right? Beating Demon and Dennis. So Raso's had a sick year, and then he pulls off this run. This is all within the span of a few months. It's only 1/100th faster, but he does a completely different strategy. So Hefe's run, it was normal way, it had to be perfect. Raso is gonna fall a little bit behind, but that's okay. He's trying to get as many runs as possible to the ending, because there is an absurd shortcut idea that, as we now know, it barely works. And it takes place here. He slows down a lot, full speed through here, jumps, crashes this road border to get pushed down into a bug slide setup, and then with enough speed on the grass, he climbs up the statue and finishes the track from the other side. Like, what? Just what? So to show you what it skips, right? The checkpoint is here, and Hefes then had to drive this long road section at the end. So Hefes jumps over here, drifts through the corner, and then this one quarter pipe here slows him down enough that Raso can majestically soar into the finish. This to me is one of my favorite shortcuts that's ever been done in the game, because it's just so absurd. What a beauty from Raso. Really deserved record, really incredible effort there. Map 14, guys, is BO8 Endurance, and we see a familiar name in the replay names. We have Wave Demon beating his own world record for good measure. This world record has not been held by anyone but Demon and Racehans since 2012. Like, you might start to notice this pattern, but it is very, very, very clear. Whenever there's a map that doesn't really have these insane shortcut strategies or anything like that, it's Demon and Racehans. And it's been that way for as long as I can remember. Demon versus Racehans, or Demon and Hugo, but Demon is always in the mix on these maps. He's been playing this game since 2008, and knows his way around BO8. So on this map, the main thing is to land without sliding through this corner, full speed, and then jump next to the booster. You skip the booster because the road where the booster is placed would give you airtime and an awkward drift and stuff. It's just faster to land next to it. The Dutch car we're watching is the new improved Ghost, but you have to do the skip 5 times in a row. And it is a lot more precise than it looks at 400 speed. I'm gonna change to cam 2 so we can see it also. His car just flying through that drift. Great spacing. Avoid sliding here. And then you have to, aim that gap. Set up wide, drop down to the blue floor again and again and again. Also gotta hope to not get bugs. Those can notoriously destroy a run. He goes a little wider than his Ghost here. And now needs a great last lap. But he enters with more speed. And full sense to try to improve. Last lap you can release even more. It's something to watch out for, because you just want an inside line to the finish. 1:28.19 the new record, 1:28.24 was the old. And I do want to pull up the leaderboard here just to give you guys the perspective on how far ahead of the rest they are now. Or well, I say they, really Demon. He has a 1:28.19 second place, 1:28.70 by Racehans. And then the next is Cottage at 1:28.87, but yeah, he just improved his record for good measure, and he's done this before as well. The previous record was also his in 2019. And you can skip back anywhere on this timeline, Like, okay, we're in 2016 now. It's Race Hans. We go back to 2014. It's Race Hans. 2013. Sorry, not 2012. 2013 was the last time anyone else had the record than these two. So, crazy stuff. The 15th map is D09 Obstacle. 3rd of July, 2025. And here we again had a player improving their own world record, but I do want to pay credit to the discoverer first. As with what happened on D10, Dennis found and did a new shortcut on this map a year ago or 2 years ago that nobody else had done before him. And then Link later came along and improved the record. But the shortcut idea is really clever. In the start of D09, you have this huge structure, this sculpture. And the typical thing you have to do is just drive up to the top of the sculpture. What Dennis discovered is that you can do the following. Drive up the sculpture, yes, but then jump out and land on the side of it, reducing airtime both on the way up and on the way down to the next platform. And then from here, you have a great lead against the normal way, and you just gotta maintain that. So he did that at first. Link later improved. You can see that was his one improvement. And now I'm gonna show you guys a comparison between Link's new record and old. He had a 40.69, and this is a 40.66 that we're on board with. So drive up, get a small bump, land on the side. I love this shortcut. And then good landing here in the downhill. He's ahead by about a 10th. I would say that gap is still not so easy because you have to be very precise on the next sculpture too. It's one of the most satisfying turns in the campaign because you can really go low, and I mean, Link full sense. He is not going for a slow time here. Came to improve his own world record, and he did. Gotta show you that turn in Camp 2. You've already landed the shortcut, and then you go for this right here. Wide setup, all the way low, and all the way low again. It's gorgeous. And a speed slide on the grass, and then following that up with a, well, you know, maybe not the most optimal ending, but enough to improve. He did say about it though that the run sucks, so. When have you ever seen this before, guys? The fastest time in the world, and the player says, oh man, this run sucks, it had so many imperfections. Classic mindset. You see, you know, you can never be happy because it's never perfect. Map 16 that was beaten is C09. Now this was first beaten by Reso, who's had a crazy year. Like going into this year, Reso had 0 world records in the campaign. And at this point, he has 4. With this record right here, he has 4. Old record used to belong to Dennis, but now Reso got it. So also a rough year for Dennis, you know, he's been doing all these shortcuts and now people come along and beat his times. This route though has existed for many years, since about 2014 I would say. So familiar territory here. And Reso had a better start, but then Dennis has more speed through here. And then they slam the wall to slow down its engine off. And Reso goes for a new strategy. He lands in the gap of the checkpoint, the triangle, to make up some lost time. He's a bit faster towards the end, and he also risks the last jump more to beat the world record by a 10th. But yeah, look at this, like, aiming this gap over at the checkpoint from all the way over here is not so easy, and also just a tiny right angle to keep the speed. Very impressive. But what if I told you guys that this record from Reso has now been beaten by about 2 seconds? Because Fastest Way Only member Thip recently pulled off an absolute banger. Maybe the best shortcut done in Nations Forever in all time. You be the judge. It's a completely different route, and it hinges on a strategy that we thought was only TAS, like TAS only. So Here it is. A 39.2 instead of a 41.09. The map has 3 checkpoints. What Fip does is he goes over the wall immediately at the start. And he wants to pick up the first checkpoint, and then the third checkpoint, and then the second one. No. He wants to pick up the first, then the second, and the third, but skip a huge portion of track. And to do that, he goes from this block. He clips the corner to set up the car for a no spug, no spugs twice, and yeets up straight to the second checkpoint. From here now, instead of doing that wall bang that Raso had to do and jump through the gap, once he's over here, he has all the checkpoints already. And it's just a matter of driving to the finish. But that no spug, it's, you know, we can never understand, I think, the effort he went through for this. He said he spent several hundred hours for it. You have to get just the right angle to no spug once, the car lifts a bit, and then no spugs again. And he's spamming different types of inputs here to get the strategy. But it's beautiful. It's really beautiful. I did receive a lot of replays from Fip. So here is just 100 no spugs. Just 100. But in actuality, he had 897 no spugs, successful ones, before he beat the record. This might lag like crazy, but I'm gonna put the camera over here. I'm gonna skip to roundabouts where the no spug happens, and let's take a look. This is 100 cars only. And the world record run is somewhere, try to spot it. You can see, I think just the multitude of different outcomes and how rare that one that actually makes it is. But yeah, this has to be so frustrating to hunt. Like, imagine you do run number 78 and it looks really good and you think this is the one. But then, oh, it just went a bit too much left. Repeat 896 times and still don't give up. Insane stuff from Pip. So impressive, so cool. Absolute cinema. He named the replay file. I think that is a great choice for the replay name for that one. Really cool stuff. Map 17 is EO3 Endurance. And if you thought players could be unhappy about their world records on DO9 here, on EO3, there has never been and there might never be a world record that avoids bugs. So it's a very unique case on EO3 that throughout the game's history, I don't think we've ever had a world record on this map that just doesn't bug. The map is truthfully so badly designed that it's almost art how badly designed EO3 is, because the landings just suck. In the start you can do a shortcut around the mountain, and then you can go on the outside here and jump from this mountain to the checkpoint and go over the wall here. And what Estas did is a new shortcut where instead of respawning like the other ones do, you can also jump over this fence and then rejoin the track over here. And now if you look at the gap here, he's about a second ahead of his old world record. And then the track continues over here. Jump, you could bug on this landing, you could bug as you enter the road, you could bug almost anywhere. But it's just a very frustrating map. This next landing over here is equally annoying, where you land sideways. It's like a hard impact, typical spot to landing bug. And then if that wasn't bad enough, at the very end of each lap, you have to go fully mountain climbing. This is very bumpy and, you know, arguably not necessary track design, but Nadeo were cooking in 2008 and this is what they made. But this is a very modern run on EO3. I hunted this map and Estas here does pretty much everything very clean. Some quantum slides have been added to the run, and other than that, really clean shortcuts. He doesn't need to do the full fence skip 3 times in a row. I think he was trying to do it several times. I'm not sure if this is... Oh, he does go for it again, yeah. 2 out of 3 I think this run is. So a second fence cut. Let's see if he got it the third time. I'm misremembering now. Did he do 3 for 3? No, this is a respawn. So very hard to do that strategy 3 times. But this run does still have a lot you can add if you dare. I'm gonna skip through it a little bit because it is a very long run. Oh yeah, very unfortunate ending. It was otherwise very fast. I remember him talking about that. And then did he actually go for the... Did he go for the end shortcut? No, not on this one. He has done on previous improvements. So here he just drives into the finish. There's a few things you can add. One strategy, which you can add, is this right here. For the last jump, you go up the hill, and instead of driving the last turn, you can bug slide left and jump into the finish. If you have nothing to lose, that's easier to go for. If you know you're already about 2 seconds ahead of your old world record, you probably shouldn't. Now we have the 18th map, C12 Obstacle. This map is Force Camp 3. Long battle here. Jan's been playing it a lot. Solution's been playing it a lot. And this year, Solution improved the world record from a 29 flat to a 28.87. Not too much new here strategy-wise, but just incredible execution to gain a 10th. You crash into the sign here for all the quarter pipe jumps, like on DO2, to reduce airtime. Very precise to do. He's keeping level with Jan, and then Solution's turnaround and shortcut here at the last checkpoint is really strong. He jumps early, cuts the turn inside, and jumps to the finish. That's where he gains the majority of the time. And one hidden detail he also got here, which makes the run very quick, is that on the last part, on the very last part of this, he actually, his wheel got pulled to the right by clipping this block a bit. So he took a much sharper turn than he otherwise would have. That is the main gains. 1st of August, we've already blasted through most of the year here, but the last couple of months, guys, were really eventful. So the 19th map to get beaten was EO2 Endurance. We're gonna show this in full. The map is cinema. If you haven't seen EO2, it is a cluster of road pieces. Looks like something you dream up when you were 10 years old and you got a couple of Hot Wheels pieces for Christmas. This track has been solved using the traveling salesman problem, which means that you scan every possible checkpoint option and find which is the closest to the checkpoint you're currently on and produces a fast route over time. So here in the start, they're climbing over the wall and skipping to like checkpoint 9 or something. I forget exactly which ones, but overall they're just taking the fastest path through all the checkpoints on the track. And it requires an overwall here as well, down to the checkpoint below. Now you're in this like zigzag area where there's 3 checkpoints you gotta pick up and you really just try to drift precisely. So I'm gonna have a sip of my drink. But yeah, just precision through these segments. All the world record here is from Crosshairs. And Reiso's able to beat it by a second. Despite a little oopsie. And what a year for Reiso, right? With all the records we mentioned previously. And this one. Like, he went from no records to, I think, 3rd on the leaderboard after driving this run here. Another wall climb here. Important one to land with speed after. And Reiso maintains the lead. But now is the hardest shortcut on the map. The next one is really difficult. This is your main reset point if you go for the record here. You have to get a precise drift into the wall that results in a bug slide that lets you jump this gap. It's a very big gap to get your car across, and you have to drive for 2 minutes perfectly before to have a chance. So after you get across, like, it's on, you know. This is when your run is really, like, high potential. There's still 4 wall climbs to do, but I'm sure Reiso's thinking at this point, man, I'm cooking, I'm doing great. And he goes into the fifth shortcut. He's about to do it, but he drifts into the wall and crashes twice. And Crosshairs, unfortunately, overtakes. So a little bit of a blunder just before the shortcut. Otherwise, perfect run so far. Gets a small bug. Doesn't let that stop him. And now he goes down the hill. Here it's very important to build up speed. Already from this point, if you're slow, you can't really do what you want to do for the next part, which is to jump outside the road here and land on the track below with a lot of speed. Raiso had a lot of speed on the landing, Crosshairs didn't. Because of that, Raiso can make another jump over the road border. And then on this side, Crosshairs had to overwall to get to the checkpoint. It looks like Crosshairs is ahead, but because Raiso approaches from this side, he now has a better last wall climb and keeps the speed on the landing. And from here, they just cruise to the finish. But I want to show that entire sequence from Crosshairs' point of view so you get what's happening. So Crosshairs is too slow for the big jump across. So he goes for the overwall here. Still very clean, right? Now you can see Raiso land over here in the distance. But from this side, you just don't have the approach angle for where the track goes. You can get a good overwall, but not faster than what Raiso did. So nailing all those shortcuts, one little blunder. Apart from that, really sick run. This is a strong mark for EO2 with how difficult everything is. I thought I did a banger run on this map, guys, 6 years ago. I drove a 334, and I thought I had essentially perfected the map. But now, 6 years later, my personal best is 10 seconds slower than the record. And it's 4th on the leaderboard, I believe. A 13. And guys, the world record battle on this map is utterly ridiculous also. Seem is the type of player that you gotta be a bit strategic about deciding if you actually want to go into a battle with him or not, because he wants to win. So he's gonna grind the map, no matter how good your time is, he's gonna grind the map until he beats you back. Him and Oogie have been battling so much on this map. Hundreds of hours each. An absolute brawl. Like, it started with Oogie getting the record with a 42, and then a 35, and then Simi took it with a 34, Oogie 33. Simi with a 30, we thought that was the final nail in the coffin. Then Oogie gets 29, Simi gets a 28, and then Oogie ties the 28th. So, they are, at this point, faster than the initial tool-assisted speedruns on the map that first used this shortcut. Here we have the comparison. Simi the first to get the 28. Oogie tying it about a month later. Again, Oogie with a better start. That's almost 100th of a lead. And Simi with a better drift so far. Oogie more speed for the uphill. About a spoiler apart before the hop. Very similar, synchronized. And this time it's actually Simi, wow. Yeah, Simi that gets scammed with 100th, you could say. Almost a 27-27. So this is a record that was set in August as well, August of 2025. B10 speed. And this is a map that has a trick I really enjoy. I enjoy talking about it. It's one of the most niche things in Trackmania from the perspective of Link. So they both do the boost start trick, then they try to reduce airtime with the Ramstein, air brake, and they get onto the first downhill. Here they speed slide and they land and they have to carry full grip through this turn. But after the turn, Link is way faster. Why? Because, and I'll show you, he did a strategy that gains a bit of speed in a regular turn. In the ending, it's a very close battle. Link pushes the last corner a bit more, lands close to the left, and straightens out for the finish, 100th ahead. So what Link did here to gain time in this corner at the checkpoint is that he landed in a way where when he starts steering, the right set of tires are technically sliding a bit, and the left ones have full grip. He's speed sliding on just the right set of tires. We call it a wheelie, people call it different things, but He's speed sliding. You see that these are darker on the right side than the left side? So he's speed sliding with full grip on platform. And he is gaining that time back in just raw speed. You could say it's like a road quantum slide, but I don't know. It's a beautiful mechanic. The wheelie speed slide. The 21st map is BO5 Race. And the 2509 here from Casper was one of the oldest world records in the game. This record was set in the project I talked about called Nadeo's Nadeo. That happened in 2019. So the record used to be a .11, and then Casper did a 09. And last year, it got very close to being dethroned by Alex, who tied it with a 2509 of his own. It's one of these simple maps where there just isn't that much left to do. After this drift, you have the flip, and you gotta get a low one, and Casper got a really good one. Alex about to catch up, and does actually overtake, but not by enough, right? So, tie at 09. Just randomly out of nowhere, an Italian player called Luke Fast dropped a nuke on this map when he drove a 2501. Like, we have a map that's essentially solved, that no one's beaten in 6 years, very similar to the Estas one with the loops. You think, oh, there's maybe one more hundredth to gain. And bro just goes 800s faster. Like, what? I'm sorry, I gotta show this to you guys. It's incredible. So what Luke Fast managed to do is just incredible. A little bit of a different line to start, still air braking. They try to go to the right a bit to carry speed. He gets a little bit more in the start, 100th or 2. Then the drift is essentially perfect to put him out to the left before the flip, and the flip is so low, and he lands on the road border so early and starts accelerating from that point onwards. Like, this flip is gorgeous. And he did it after a really strong start. It's one of those, I can't believe he actually got everything in one run. I mean, look at that thing. It's a freak record, truly. You just think that it shouldn't exist, you know? 2501, 800s faster. Second oldest map beaten. Incredible from Luke Fast, and really cool when you see just like a gap you never thought you'd see. Yeah, over on to a map that didn't really have any big gaps throughout its history. A01 Race was beaten this year, guys. So context here is that Eddie from Sweden put in about 200 hours. He had previously beaten all the A01 records in Trackmania 2020, and he wanted to try to break this one. He did that a few years ago, and the record had stood at 2379 ever since. This year there was some hype to hunt it again. Roland, absolute legend, came back, and he managed to tie it also around the same time, August, September. So this was the first time anyone had tied the 2379. Roland also lifetime has, you know, hundreds of hours on this map. But Eddie's start is essentially perfect. But what they realized is that you can gain quite a lot in the second speed slide. So, I mean, Roland was behind, but across the finish line, he is equal to maybe slightly ahead. But this was the difference before. And on the finish jump, he is rather equal. If we zoom in for the comparison, you can see he's definitely gained time here. No doubt, right? So people start thinking maybe a 78 is possible. Well, then you need a perfect start downhill, you need 2 perfect speed slides, but you would probably hold the record forever. And at this point, there's a full race for it. Like, Roland's going for it, Axel's going for it, and as it happens, Roland on the 16th of September beats A01 Race with a .78. But then, only a short while later, Axel does a 77. They improved 200ths on A01. Axel drove basically a perfect run on the map. I don't know if we'll ever see a 76, so this is as far as we think we can go for now. Perfect downhill. Setting up for the speed slide a bit wider than Roland. Behind, but more speed, and speed is key. Good speed slide there, good uphill. And he just has a little bit more speed to the finish. That's a 77. Roland had a 78 low. There is one strategy, which maybe, if someone is crazy enough, like seeing what people are pulling off, why not throw this one into the mix? This was found by Josh, and he found that there's, on these blue blocks on the side, they're a bit imperfectly connected with other platforms. So there's a tiny gap that you can crash into on the left side and start a chain reaction where you get a different nosedive in the start, and you gain this difference if you do it well. And then from there you'd have to, again, do perfect speed slides and all, but maybe you can pull that off in a run as well. Like, we're talking, you can't even see that there's a gap, but it's right here with the back wheel. It just seems like you hit a pebble or something and it lifts into the air. Map 23 is DO6 obstacle. So this map's had, you know, quite a lot of innovation. Roland found out in 2021 that there was a huge shortcut hiding in plain sight. Where on the flying laps, instead of driving on the blocks we're currently on, you could just jump from wall ride to wall ride, preserving massive amounts of speed. And then Dennis added another shortcut by skipping across the middle of the track on the last lap. So here you're seeing the one shortcut you have to do, which is the big jump across. Roland is the Austrian car ahead, Dennis a bit behind. And they're just trying to get through the wall rides, and then now we're into the last lap. Release a bit, and then jump really far. And here Dennis crashes on purpose, flies out into the middle of the track, where there happens to be a sculpture. He drives up the sculpture, clips a bit though, and the car doesn't enter the finish fast enough. Had Dennis gotten this just a little bit better, you know, he's here at 55 seconds. This would have been unbeatable normal way. Forever. Like, his route is faster. But this was 400 hours of effort for him, so it's really, you know, heartbreaking that it wasn't even faster, or he could have just had it forever. But this year, Estas beat this record too. And what he found out is that there's one more strategy in favor of normal way, which no one else had been using. So here we're gonna have to give Austrian car to Estas, and Roland is gray. Let's take a look. We are on board with Estas. He beats Roland by 700ths, but with this run also shows how much is possible on the track. So, marginally ahead in the start. This is not the important thing. What he found out is that in the very last wall rides there, before the multi-lap, if you smooth steer, you can enter a state of full grip. Whereas if you are steering a bit too sharp, the car slides on the way up. So now we're entering last lap. He is behind still, does the jump and goes higher. Looks like he's surely not going to catch up and overtake. But then he goes for the smooth steer full grip line. So full grip here and noom. It's completely nuts. It's completely nuts that this wins, but it's very hard to tell if the car is sliding or not on the wall ride blocks. But it is, and if you're sliding on the way up, you're just not preserving speed. So here, he's smooth steering, you can see Roland is sliding, and then Estas at this point has 50 more speed or something, and just blasts away. Beautiful. Beautiful strat. I do hope that we will see someone pull off the Dennis shortcut again. I feel like this map deserves to have a beautiful record with that route, but for now it's still normal way. Map 24, CO8 obstacle. Before we talk much more about this map, we do gotta pay tribute to Demon. This is Demon's best run on CO8 obstacle, 2507. And it's the closest we've, you know, gotten to perfect on this map. You have to weave between the pillars on the way down, set up left, and drift close to the wall, carry a lot of speed left, right up the hill, and then full left so you can set up this drift close to the wall. You could probably count how many times it looked like his tires were inside the walls. It was a handful. Very, very strong run. One fun fact I want to tell you guys about here is that Demon has held the record on this map since 2010. It is so optimized now at 2507 that we didn't really know if anyone would beat it, and certainly not by much. And so the community went crazy when a new record from FIP appeared on the leaderboard, and it was just too fast to believe. Like, what is this gap? 2493? No way. No way. Demon perfected the map. There's no way you can go that fast. Something is very sus here, right? And what he did is the following. In the start, instead of driving the same way Demon did, in this next turn, he jumps over the wall, lands in a bug slide, slams the downside of the wall to preserve all the speed up the hill, and then from there, tries his best to keep composure and do the last turns and drive to the finish. We said Racels had a good year, but FIP at this point, 2 new shortcuts that no one else had really conceived of that you could do. And both are just such beautiful runs. I mean, what is that? DO1 Endurance, 7th of November. We again see Demon, who's had a fantastic year. He decides to try to beat his own record. Here we go. Demon versus Demon. Feels a bit like One Punch Man. You run out of opponents. You're just looking for someone worthy to battle against, but you're too strong, it would seem. So this is another endurance map. It's a very intense one because the laps are only 15 seconds. So things just happen very quickly. Here you have to release, time it perfectly, jump through, release again, catch the booster, full grip, then speed slide up the hill, snap out of it, to the right, release, snap again with steering so you don't slide. You're always looking to prevent sliding in the sharp corners and slide on the open platforms to keep the best pace. And right now he's quite far ahead of his old record. We can hop on board with 79. I think this map might be more satisfying in Cam 2. Full speed up, and then another perfect weaving there. He was basically inside the wall. And this is a map where, again, the gaps I'll show you on the leaderboard are crazy. Like, Demon has this 2:15.63. I believe Rayson's got a 2:15 as well, and then the next player is far away. Once there are no bug slides or things like that, these are the players you're gonna see on the leaderboards. These are their hometown tracks. So once more, he's extending a little bit, a couple of hundredths per lap. But one missed input and it could all be for nothing. One missed steering input, one missed release. So they're going into what I believe is the last lap. Yeah, this is the last lap. Gotta keep composure. Just a few more turns. Speed slide down the hill. Speed slide after the turn. Smooth out. And he just keeps gaining. And maybe the last release could have been a little better, but this is a very, very strong mark on the track. I'm gonna show you the leaderboard. Yeah, so Raysons has a 86, and then Roland is at a 2:16.00. Actually closer than I thought, but as you'll see, Demon had to beat his own record, and then before that, he even had 2 other runs, so. Map 26 is DO8. Now here I want to show you guys 2 replays first to set the stage. Hellfest versus Raysons. So these are 2 quite old records, you know, maybe 4 years ago, 3-4 years ago. Hellfest beat the world record, and he had a really great run with a mistake in the ending. So in the start, you have to speed slide through this, left, right, drop down, manage your steering so you don't crash that turn, full grip on the booster. Hafez did all of this incredibly well. Drop out to the right side, now you have a lot of space to go left. It looks like Raysons gets closer, but not really. Drop down, nosedive over this hill. You do one small release in the turn, coming out of the loop. All perfect so far. And then the last turn, you just have to snap cancel the steering. And Hafez loses about his entire lead. He does beat the world record by 100th, but he called the replay frick because look at this gap. I mean, that run would have been perfect, but just not the best end. So, rather disappointing for Hafez. People have been trying to beat it over the years. Here's a clip I remember from Shmaniel, where he is a little behind Hafez on the map coming into the end, but you know, ending is improvable. It looks as though he's gonna win out. He's faster. When he gets a Ramstein bug and spectacularly crashes on the last straightaway. Oh, you thought the community forgot Shmaniel. I'm sorry, this one is burned into my brain and probably yours too. But perhaps there is some solace in knowing that in the end, even this wouldn't be strong enough to stand for a long time. This would not be world record forever either, because there's a player called Thip, and he discovered another new undone shortcut that nobody else had seen, and he did it. His 9th Nadeo shortcut. It's so unbelievable. Like, some people have a brain that is just wired differently from the rest of us, and not only that, the actual way they think is different, but Thip here also has the skill to execute his crazy plans. So here's the comparison: Thip versus Hafez. Speed slide as well on the start. He's gonna deviate at some point, and you can try to guess where if you want to. There was this crazy like triple nose bug idea a couple years ago, where you would bump the dirt over here and set up a nose bug chain. Dennis was trying that for a bit, but it's not that. It's something completely different. Thip here, before the loop, jumps out to the left. There's a statue, he clips it, now sets up for a nose bug on the road, and that alone, in combination with the boosters, makes him fast enough to fend off Hafez all the way to the finish. It's so silly. Like, it's been right there in plain sight, but like, who would think of this? Sure, we can think we can skip the loop, but there's no way to keep speed. There's just no... Oh. And it's like, so clean too, bro. It's so clean too, and here you can see from normal way perspective that there is just no way to beat that. And in the time since, they've improved this one a little bit further as well, but Thip gets all the credit for finding this one too. Truly insane year. Truly insane year. On the 16th of December, we're nearing the end of the year now. Demon was grinding B14. This is a record Raysons has had for a long time, and Demon wanted it back. It's another one of those tracks, guys. Raysons Demon, Demon Raysons. 3064 by Raysons was a very strong mark. Demon here, sick run with a 3062. So slalom in the start, you have to go a little bit wide around this corner so that you jump close to the wall of the house. Demon lands earlier and can set up this part earlier. Raysons lands a bit before the hill and thus has more speed, but his end was apparently beatable. Demon a bit wider, better speed slide, low to the checkpoint, snap into speed slides as he straightens out, and it's 2 full hundredths for his advantage. This is just a really precise map. After Demon beat this record, Raysons is now down to just 1 world record in the game. The 28th map, guys, that got beaten is none other than D14 Endurance by a familiar name with a 234.01, previous record 234.56. Funny replay name as well. If you beat this with the new strat, you're a furry. He said a couple of years ago, Crosshairs, and I did indeed beat it with the new strat. So yeah, let's take a look. It's fitting here that Crosshairs go with the Swedish car skin. I don't have to, you know, change the colors. You can tell which car is faster and which is slower. But jokes aside, I hunted this map throughout December. I really wanted to get a world record this year, and D14 I knew had a lot of potential because you can set up for the shortcut earlier than we previously thought. This is a strategy that was first done in task runs, and I experimented with it a bit. It's rather inconsistent. Like here I got a bad one, but I knew that because if you get it good, it saves like a second. Even if you get a bad one, you can just continue and hope to make up the time in the next lap, and so on and so forth. So I'm doing alright drifts here. I'm catching up to Crosshairs. Gap's about 0.1 as we enter lap 2. You still have to watch out for bugs. You still have to watch out for no slides in these sharp corners. Trying my best to do neo slides to prevent that, but it's hard. Here, I again go for the early shortcut. Set up earlier on the left, you can really see the comparison, it's different. I get the good one, and at this point, I'm already 1 second ahead. I'm feeling like, oh my, this is the one, right? This is a fast run. Been grinding this map a lot, here we go, right? So I'm locked in. I'm not really nervous in the drifts. I'm feeling pretty good. Like I'm going precise still. And then I get to the wall bang and I feel like someone is just holding me back. I feel like, you know when your hair gets pulled? That's what I felt. Or like someone holds your jacket or your shirt or something. And with one bad wall bang, I immediately lost 1 second. It was just evaporated into thin air. And so into the last lap, I had to full send. I had to risk. I knew I was behind. I go for the early shortcut a third time. And what do you know? 3 in a row. I was only really going to go for one of these risky shortcuts, but I somehow managed to get a run with 3 of them in a row. One a little bit bad one, but the other 2 were solid. And then I tried to keep it safe here in the last drifts, knowing it would be enough. And then I just hoped, like, please, give me a good wallbang. And I felt it was a good redirect. Hit the last neo slides. And had I risked a bit more, this would have been a 233. It's a 234.01. But regardless, I'm just happy to beat it. It's been 3 years since I last held the D14 record, guys, so very proud of this one, despite it being a little bit slow, and it really shows the potential as well. Like, if you get 3 shortcuts that look like this one, you are gonna be so fast in this map. Just, whew. Maybe 232 is possible. Now on to map 29, a historic one, A12 speed. So the old record here from Hellfest going into the year was the oldest Nadeo world record, still standing. It was set in January of 2019. And at the time Hellfest set this record, he beat the old world record by almost 1 second. It was the fastest ever Uberbug we'd seen, and he played it really well. He released, like he had to react in real time, just like, oh, what the hell? I'm getting a low flight to the first finish. He reacted in real time, released a bit, and then full speed from here, and he got a 1061. Now, what people have figured out is that with the modern tool-assisted tools, Trackmania interface, practicing the Uberbug over and over is that almost all Uberbugs you get will be slightly too fast. If Hellfest went full speed from here, he would overdump the finish. And that is true for all Uberbugs of this type. The logic then follows, if you know you're always going to be too fast, if you get the correct Uberbug, the best strategy is to immediately release. It's better to release early in the jump rather than late. And so there's a cult in Trackmania Nations Forever that religiously play this map every day on the server, and they started going for this insta-release strategy. And they've been doing that for a while. It's really hard, but that is essentially the only way to improve this record further. Earlier this year, after 2,000 hours of playing, Axel managed to beat the record. So not only did Axel beat A01 this year, he also beat A12. He beat two of the most iconic records in Trackmania in the same year. Insane effort, insane perseverance, and well-deserved accomplishment with the insta-release strategy. You can see Equal in the start, releases now immediately, and then has a gap to Halfest at the finish. It looks very similar. It's hard to really distinguish them, but more direct line, and then early release had to be done. And he gets a 10:51. Very, very strong time. But another player that not only put in 2,000 hours, he put in 2,700 hours is Logica. Like, I'm telling you, it's a cult. It's a cult, and they do not stop until they all get the perfect run here, it seems. Logica, after 2,000 hours, himself drops a 10:41 at the very tail end of the year. And this run basically does everything the same, but it's a higher quality Uberbug. He doesn't have to release as much, and he soars into the finish. Ridiculous. Recommend checking out Logica's own video about this to see his journey towards the world record. And the same for Axel as well. That really shows what it takes to beat A12. But as it stands, I find it so hard to imagine that they will ever improve this, but who knows? Who knows? The community is crazy. This is the leaderboard at the moment. 10:41 Logica, 10:51 Axel, 10:61 Halfest. And then Viun, 10:61, and Sukad, 10:61 as well. Lots of ones. But who knows? Who knows if they'll be able to improve it. Map 30, that was beaten, was BO2 race. Now, I want to show you guys the big improvement that took place here earlier this year from Monster. The world record used to be 25:06, and Monster got the first ever sub 25 with a 24:99. That's the gray car here. No, I feel so bad for the players when I do this. I mean, that's Styx, of course, not Monster. Styx got the 24:99. Monster had 25:06. Most of it is decided in the start, so a better start here for Styx. Yeah, sorry, Styx, he's even in the chat. Oh, I feel so bad when I give credit to the wrong player. But yeah, there was a really impressive mark here from Styx of 24:99. And, you know, tough to go up against. This is about 0.2 ahead of the fastest normal way record, so really high quality run. But just now, just a few days ago, Dennis uploaded a really fast, really impressive 24:91. He drives with a Denmark car skin because it has the Den tag. It's nice. So let's take a look at the final improvement of the year on BO2. Slightly earlier overwall line, and then, ooh, you really just hold forwards and right there and hope you don't touch the wall. And if you don't, you are golden, but you cannot mess up the drift. And he keeps his composure. I remember once this shortcut was like actually done for the first time, Plusterx made a video about what was the theoretical limit, and he ended up at something like a 77, but that might still not be fully accurate to like what is realistic. But they are close to the limit here. Like, just looking at this in slow-mo gives some appreciation, I think. How close they go to the wall here for keeping the speed. There's not really a lot more room to land with speed in the start. And in the ending, there's not really more room for the drift either. Dennis did really good spacing. All the way up here with the back wheel. And then still pretty wide. That seemed to be all the records that were achieved this year. Until literally last night, guys. When most of the community gathered in a YouTube stream with about 100 viewers, where Wave Demon, as per tradition, grinds EO5 endurance every New Year's or so. In the time between Christmas and New Year's, Demon often boots up and streams his EO5 world record hunts. And he had a really heartbreaking session the other day where he bugged in like lap 53. And then he was doing the final hunt of the year. And he started off with getting a really good run immediately. And when this happens, this map is so long, right? It's 60 laps, it's 53 minutes of driving. When someone gets on a good run, you start seeing the Discord messages. People are pinging like, yo, are you guys watching Demon? Yo, he's cooking, look at the splits, right? So everyone's gathering in the chat, watching him do this. And he is driving neck and neck with this PB basically the entire time. Until lap 53 in this attempt, he gets a landing bug. This ended up not being the new world record, and going into the last lap, he was close all the way. He risked like crazy after 59 laps to try to at the very least make it a personal best. Clean downhill, good speed across. He's behind his ghost, he toggled it for a second. He sends the last turn, and it ends up being a new personal best at the very least. This is the first time Demon PBs on EO5 in 4 years. And after this, he was typing like, man, I'm so fried. It's so exhausting to play this. I can't believe I got this close and that I'm, not getting it there. And then he says he will try one more run after a break. And he fires up another run. First lap. And after 4 years of not driving a personal best on this map, he gets 2 runs back to back that are personal best. But this one, perhaps, since I'm mentioning it here, was a little bit more than that. So we're gonna skip through to some key points. So in lap 23, he's over a second ahead of the run he just drove. He's 2 seconds ahead of Tween at this point. The splits are fantastic. He's been driving consistent laps, no mistakes, right? Now we're in lap 25. Oh my god. Life is miserable. So he's 2 seconds ahead now. And he gets a bug in engine off, which pushes him too wide for this turn, which completely ruins his speed for the next ones. Usually he will like wobble the car over the multi-lap. Here he gets a 54.45 and additional time loss from not having the speed, all because he got this one annoying bug here. That can evaporate 2 seconds on a map where it comes down to 0.3. So from this point on, he picks up the pace, drives really fast, and he's chipping away at that deficit. So we're entering, the 40s now. He's made it down to 0.4 on the splits. And then we go to lap 40, or like 50 maybe, somewhere around here. Let's see what the gap is at now. He's minus 0.3. He's minus 0.3, the splits are comparing to his personal best, and he needs 0.25, right? So it is a nail biter. It is so tense. Compared to Tween, he's ahead, but Tween is driving 53.1 laps every time. And if you look at the yellow split here, this will say 53.3. So we know that Tween is closing in. We're really all cheering for Demon to keep the gap as it is, to keep the lead. And I'm gonna show you the last lap here, because it is just pure cinema. Maybe you know what the result is gonna be because we're watching it, but imagine the moment, right? 60 laps, you're ahead of your personal best by 0.4, you need 0.2 at the finish. This is your moment. It's been 4 years since you had the record. Can you drive a decent lap now, a really decent lap? Any mistake now, and you don't have enough time to correct it. It has to be clean. Down the hill, good grip. You have to set up this slide into wallbang combo, boom, boom. Here you have to do this right, left, right weave into the drift to use all the space, carry speed. You have to time the brake timing here, carry enough speed up the hill, then release exactly correct to do the grip on the downhill trick for more speed into the engine off. And then you have to get no bugs and dare to risk the last uphill. The gap is 0.4. Demon is trying his best, 0.4 still, ahead of his personal best. And that is just enough for a new record by 14 hundredths of a second in 53 minutes of driving. And believe me, they are not far from the limit here. Like, in 53 minutes of driving, they are maybe 5 seconds away from, like, what is the human limit. And I want to maybe show you guys the leaderboard here too. You have Demon and Tween, 1400s apart, and the next player is 7 seconds, and the next player after is 14 seconds. You're saying third place is free? It is anything but. I mean, on EO5 you have the potential shortcut that gains 4 seconds if you do it once. But after doing it, you have to drive an average lap that is only 3 or so hundredths slower than Demon for an entire hour to beat him. But yeah, beat and replays. You have Demon's 0.55, you have Tween's 53.26, you have Demon's 29, you have Tween's 34, 35, and you can go back in time. I mean, 2012, Demon had a 54 here. 2013, Tween beat it with the first 53. Like, rich history here. 12 years of competition, and they're still going at it. That is what Trackmania is all about. So that is all the records, unless someone drove a record during the stream, which I don't think the players did. Looking at this chart again, we have seen 31 unique world records this year. It's the best year in a very long time. And maybe it will be the best in a very long time, because 2026, although we have 365 days at our disposal, trying to beat those records that I just showed, those were apparently the beatable ones. The ones that didn't get improved might be even harder, who knows. The game is getting optimized like crazy. And thank you guys so much for watching Trackmania Rewind, and Happy New Year. And I'll see you for 2026.